Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early anymore. It's 7 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I just walked in the door from my usual 4-mile walk around town, and I was thinking about doing this video the whole way. I didn't feel like changing. I'm getting on the treadmill next. This is what I'm thinking of. I got a comment yesterday, and to be honest with you, I never know if I'm being trolled. I'm never 100% sure if I'm being trolled or not, or if it's a serious comment or question. But I got a comment yesterday from a woman that asked if I could do a video about losing weight, something along those lines. And I gave that some thought this morning, and I decided to do this because I thought about the parallels to. It was an important part of my recovery. It built up my self-confidence. It's one of the things that I feel like I accomplished in my recovery. And it's definitely one of the things that keeps me clean. It's a big part of my life and part of my recovery. So I thought about that. And there's another big thing, a big reason why I decided to talk about this is because the way that at least the way I personally looked at food and eating was exactly the same feeling that I had towards illegal substances back when I was using. It was the exact same kind of craving, desire, endless routine, circle. What do they call that? Circle. The guilt and everything. The way I looked at food was the exact same way. It was the same exact thing. And that's why I decided to talk about this. The next thing, I look at my analytics, and some of my videos have been getting long, like over 15, 20 minutes. And a lot of times, a lot of you guys, a good portion of you guys only watch like 3 or 4 minutes. So I decided instead of doing like one 20-minute video or a 30-minute video, where I sit here and ramble and try to rush through and get everything in and miss a whole lot of it, I decided to do this in episodes or pieces. And I'm just going to do a short piece this morning, and I'll see how it goes, and maybe I'll do another one. Let's see. I think that about covers it. All right. So let's start. I've always had a problem with weight. One side of my family is lean. My mom's side. And my father's side was big boned, is what they call it. The doctors, whenever I broke bones, the doctors told me I had a very large skeleton, a very large bone structure. And I was able to put on a lot of weight without people noticing at first, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because I was able to hide it until I took off my shirt, and then it was obvious. But my bone structure allowed me to kind of conceal a lot of weight. People were surprised when I told them what I weighed. Going all the way back to early school, back in elementary school, I remember being chased around the playground. Fat man, from the Batman song, except it was Fat Man. And I remember the little girls chasing me around. Fat man. I would get picked last. I know. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing a pity party here. But just so people understand that I know what it's like to be overweight. I know what it's like to struggle with being overweight, to feel that. Which reminds me, like whenever we were picking sides for kickball, I was picked absolutely last. I remember playing softball in elementary school, probably 4th grade. And I was always big. I remember building snowmen, and they always used me to put the biggest snowballs up on top. And we're playing softball, and I would miss. I would be picked last almost every time, dead last, which is a terrible feeling. I'm sure some of you could understand, to relate to this, being picked last. And I remember this one time, when I did get a hold of the ball, I just, I cracked that thing and sent it, into the next parking lot. And, I remember, doing that and hitting a home run, and all the fit little little boys that, were making fun of me or picking me last. When I rounded the bases, they're like, yeah, they're jumping all over me and, almost picking me up. They couldn't pick me up because I was overweight, but, so then for about a week, I was picked first, but then I kept striking out again. Like, it was a rare occurrence where I was able to get a hold of the ball. And, plus the fact, I remember overrunning first base because, like I said, this isn't a pity party, but I remember, I didn't have a dad to teach me a lot about baseball and softball, that I didn't know that you could overrun. No, I slid into first. Did I slide into first base or I overran it? I don't know. I did some silly things and I looked bad. I slid into first base. That's what it was. You can overrun first base. All right. So anyway, I broke my leg in 6th grade skiing. and a full cast all the way up to my hip. And I couldn't take the school bus, so my mom would pick me up from school every day, and she would take me to Carvel, which is the local ice cream place, every single day, and get me a coconut chocolate fudge sundae, kind of like a pity thing, And I ended up putting a lot of weight on 6th grade, 7th grade. I remember I remember like coming back on a bus from a ski trip in the ski club, and we're playing spin the bottle or truth or dare in the back of the bus, and none of the girls, wanted anything to do with me. I was just ignored, and my friend was like, "Why don't you sit this one out?" My friend with the haircut in the middle, the blonde, wearing Levi. I had my buddy was like a good-looking blonde kid with the haircut and everything, and he's like, "Gerald, why don't you just sit out?" And none of the girls wanted anything to do with me. When I hit high school, after high school though, the it wasn't funny, but I was at a club one night. And I had lost all this weight after high school. I started riding my bike and exercising, and I shot up in freshman year of high school. And the girls that had made fun of me and called me fat man and all that, I remember dancing with three of the girls that had made fun of me back in elementary school, And at the time, I thought it was great, But then it just made me more angry as time went on. It's like they didn't even remember how miserable they made my life. And now they're all interested in me. It's like they didn't even want to acknowledge who I was before. They pretended like that never happened, and that made me so angry. All right, so anyway, move up to the present. When I was in detox and rehab, they fed you good because a lot of people went in there not in the best of health, from abusing drugs. And I remember one of the rehabs, they had a 24 hours juice machine that was just pure sugar. And I always ended up putting weight on when I was in the detox or rehabs. And once I got into the methadone clinic, I would go to the methadone clinic every day, and I would leave there, and I had been clean sober for about a month or two. And I actually had money, so I didn't know what to do with, even having, an extra $100 or $50 in my pocket was a great thing. And I started stopping at McDonald's every day, coming home from the methadone clinic every single day, and, it kept me clean, but I gained weight. Every single day I would have a steak, egg, and cheese bagel with home fries, 3 cookies, a large coffee. I added up the calories for that. It's like 1,500. I think it was at least 1,500 calories just for that one meal. And I'd eat brownies. They say that opiate addicts have a craving for sugar and sweets a lot. And that's true, at least with me. It's something I've had to really work on. Then it got to this point one day when a counselor was going in front of me, walking in front of me at the clinic, and he went by me, and my shirt was actually up above. My stomach was hanging out the bottom of my shirt. I had gotten up to 280 pounds. Now, I'm 6'2", almost 6'3". I used to be 6'4", 6'4.5" in high school, but I'm about 6'2", 6'2", almost 3. And I had gotten up to 280 pounds. And he went by me and he tapped my stomach. I still remember this was 17 years ago, and I still remember this. And he goes, "You're putting on a little weight there, Daryl." And people were saying, but I remember him saying this. And that was it. That was like rock bottom. There's a lot of similarities between losing weight and a lot of similarities. And that's when I made up my mind. It's like, if I could do this, if I could stop using these drugs, I could do anything. I was getting my teeth fixed. I'll do another video talking about that. But I was like, if I want this bad enough, I could do this. And that's the attitude you have to have. I remember back then, the movie Magic Mike was a big thing. And I remember all the women on Facebook just drooling over the guys with the 6-packs. And I had man boobs and a big gut. And I was like, I want that, man. I want that bad. If I want it bad enough, I can have that. You guys are probably laughing now, but that's what started it. I'm going to stop here pretty soon, but that was the turning point. And I started looking at food. You can't look at food as something, as a hobby, as something as a reward. For me now, I look at it as fuel. Like, here, these are some of my favorite. I still have a hard time with sweets. And these are one of my favorite snacks. But I still count the calories, and that's what I started doing. I made up like a diary or a chart, and I charted every single, I never did the macros and all that stuff. Like that stuff just annoyed me, the proteins and all that. I'm never going to be a exercise guru. I'm just telling you guys how I did it. And I made this chart, and I kept charts every day for probably a good 2 years. And I would chart in exactly calories for breakfast, every calorie, everything I ate, how much calories in and how many calories I burned off. I would look up how much, walking at a fast pace and blah, blah, blah. And I would, how many calories in, how many calories out every single day. And I'm going to give you, here's the last tip I'm going to leave you guys with. This is the thing that helped me a lot. You always get that craving for like a chocolate bar or whatever, a snack, and it's hard. You think about it almost all the time. This is the thing where I realized it parallels drug use so much, that urge, like when I had an urge to use crack. And here's what helped me. I realized that eating that chocolate bar would make me feel worse. I think about it. Why am I eating? Why am I eating this? Why am I eating this? How am I going to feel? They might give me 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, a minute of pleasure, of what I think is pleasure, eating the chocolate bar. But right after that, I'm going to feel guilt, and I'm going to want another one, because it works just like drugs. It was the same thing with drugs. I do a little bit, I get a little bump, and I'd want more, and it's the same exact thing. And I would ask myself, how are you going to feel after you eat this? How are you going to feel tomorrow? If you don't eat this, tomorrow you will feel so much better. You'll look back at this as a win. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll have conquered this one moment, and you got to stop and think about it. Why am I eating this? Why am I eating this chocolate bar, this snack? And how am I going to feel? And you can really analyze it. Is it going to make me feel better? Why am I doing this? And that started to work for me. And it was the same exact thing back when I was using. I would try to hurry up and use, because I knew if I thought about it too long, why am I doing this to myself? I might start questioning it. It parallels food use and the drug use parallel each other so much. Having done both. All right, I'm going to stop right here, and that's enough for today. I could talk. I can and I will talk so much more about this, but that's how I started this, and I ended up losing a total of 90 pounds. I went from 280 pounds down to just about 3 or 4 months later. I dropped 60 pounds quick over a couple months, and then I dropped. It took me a while to get down to the lowest I got was 182, 180. And I've gained back a little muscle since then, but I lost at least 90 pounds, almost 100 pounds, and I've kept it off. You have to look at this, diets, like they say, diets don't work. It's got to be a lifestyle change. You got to change the way that you look at food. Food isn't a hobby. It's not a reward. It is fuel for your body, and that's all it is. If you want to succeed at this, that's just the way you have to look at this. That's all it is. It's not a reward or something to do when you're bored. It's just fuel to keep you going. And you have to center your rewards on something else, like working out or something like that. But I'll get into more of that into the next video. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this, especially being young and getting picked on. And like I said, I've had weight issues my whole life, except for these last 17 years. So I will be back later, and there'll be more episodes. If there's any interest in this, let's see how the videos go. How the views go. You guys have a good Sunday.